Dictatorship is always a bad idea. The North Korean regime tries hard and controls all aspects of people's lives, but people love freedom. Even if you control them for generations and try to show that all the other countries in the world are enemies, the society will still want to be free. And now we see that changes are happening in North Korea. We want to believe that this is the start of a huge change that will bring freedom and happiness to North Korean people and will put the end to the regime of communists. As you probably know, Kim Il-sung was the founder of North Korea after World War II. The south part of the peninsula decided to join the democratic world, but the north appeared under control of communists. Kim Il-sung was the first dictator of North Korea. He started to rule the country back in 1948 and finished only with his death in 1994. He changed his title from chairman to president in 1966, but it was just a change of title, not his nature of dictatorship. Today, North Korea is ruled by his grandson, Kim Jong-un, and some experts say that he might be the last dictator of the country. People want changes, and they may get it by bloody revolutions and protests. In today's video, we'll look at North Korea today and try to see changes that have been happening during the last years. In his young years, Kim Il-sung joined the communist organization and was later jailed for taking part in the protests. After his release from prison, he joined Korean guerrilla movement to oppose Japan that wanted control over the Korean peninsula. In 1930s, Soviet Union noticed a young and promising man, and he was sent to the military training to the Soviet Union Army. There he joined the Communist Party. Kim Il-sung led the Korean contingent in Soviet Army during World War II. After the war, the Korean peninsula was divided into two parts, the Soviet-occupied North and the US-supported South. 2 years later, Kim was the premier of the newly formed Communist Party, and this was where hell began. During the first years of his reign, Il-sung tried to get control over the South, igniting the Korean War. The war ended in a stalemate in 1953 after US and UN troops fought back at the North Korean army. China helped Il-sung keep control over his original territories. For establishing his eternal power, Kim Il-sung eliminated all his enemies, and he would probably taught his son, Kim Jong-un, how to do it. The one-person controlled economy kept showing good results in 1960s and 1970s, but eventually it brought back the country to starvation in the 1990s. The lack of food is something they can't deal with even now. The philosophy of self-reliance that was formed by Kim Il-sung is still the main idea of the country's politicians. Kim Il-sung cultivated good relations with China and the Soviet Union, but after 1991, Russia doesn't support Pyongyang much. In 1994, he died right before he was going to relieve tension between two Koreas. After his death, Kim Jong-il became the supreme leader of the North Korea, making the rules even worse. But the weird fact is that Kim Il-sung is still officially the president of the country. The North Korean constitution names him as the eternal president of the republic. During the years of Kim Jong-il, North Korea tried to make the relations with some countries warmer, but at the same time, it was enriching uranium to secretly build new missiles. In 2003, the masks were off, and North Korea broke all agreements by claiming that they were going to produce nuclear weapons again. In 2011, North Korean news said that Kim Jong-il died in his train. His son, Kim Jong-un, became the next supreme leader of Korea, and this is where changes started. He was educated in Switzerland, and he saw how the developed countries actually lived. He was much younger than his father when he got the power of ruling the country, and that's why some changes were inevitable. Still, the country still wasn't ready for a sharp change, so all the reformations are made step by step, very slowly. Now we can point out some major changes that have happened during Kim Jong-un's reign. During the first years of his reign, Kim Jong-un was the ruthless communistic leader who executed any person standing against his ideas of the party and its leader. He even executed his uncle, who was advocating closer relationships with China. Also, up to 2017, the nuclear weapon program was the favorite thing of Kim Jong-un. He observed test launches of missiles, attended underground explosions of nuclear weapons again and again. But something changed in 2017, and the country turned into a different direction. In 2018, during the Winter Olympics, in South Korea, the athletes from North Korea were presented. They even marched as one body with South Korean athletes under the flag that should have meant unified Korea. Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, visited the Olympics, becoming the first member of the ruling family of North Korea to visit the South since the Korean War. After that, Kim met the US President Trump, and Jong-un basically said that North Korea was ready to get rid of all nuclear weapons if the US guarantees the country's security. But changes are seen not only in politics. The society is changing. Famine and lack of money makes Korean people leave their jobs and start living illegal lives. There are illegal markets all over the country that start changes in the economy. People understand now that the government won't give them food, so they start changing their lives so that they could rely on themselves, not on Workers' Party. Also, Chinese smartphones are rapidly changing the society. Until recent times, Korean people couldn't use internet. They could only use local network that is totally controlled by the party. There are a dozen of websites where you can find first-class propaganda and stories about Kim Jong-un. But the Chinese smartphones started coming to the country as smuggled goods along with Chinese SIM cards, so people who live closer to China can basically use Chinese internet, which is also controlled, but not as badly as in North Korea. People started organizing underground clubs where they dance and listen to American and European music, watch South Korean films and TV series. There are now lots of smuggled goods from South Korea and China, so people start seeing that they have been tricked by their leader about the quality of life in the world. North Korea's leaders are losing control over people, and they are about to lose their power, many political experts say now. We see that Pyongyang changes its way of addressing other countries. Now, Kim Jong-un may have some troubles with his health or with his mental ability to rule the country. He started taking months off his duties, and that's a clear indicator of a soon change of the supreme leader. Jong-un doesn't have the adult son who might take the power and keep the leading country to communism. So there's only Kim Yo-jong, his sister, who could do this. But North Korea isn't ready for a woman to become the supreme leader. So will they use this chance for eliminating the regime? No one can say that, but we can only hope that the country won't appear in another bloody war or revolution.